Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Myself Adarsh Nair. I'm part of the Hac'KP organizing team. I welcome you all to the Hac'KP webinar series. Hac'KP is a virtual hackathon organized by Kerala Police to build solution for future policing. We have started the hackathon on July 17 and it is still going on. There are more than 500 participants formed more than 100 teams across the globe to compete for building a better solution for future policing. The final verdict would be on August 15, 2020 from 10 a.m. onwards. We have SBI and Paytm as our prime partners, Beagle Security as our technology partner, CloudForce as our cloud partner, and EC Council as our knowledge partner. Thank you so much for your all-heart support for organizing the Hac'KP. Now, we can have a look on a video on Hac'KP Virtual Summit. Welcome back. Now, Hac'KP is organizing a series of webinars on various technical topics which might be useful for the cyber community. For developing successful products and services, a thorough understanding of the people for whom the products and services are meant for is an essential strategy. Today, we will be having our sixth webinar, Design Thinking, to understand how the approach would give more value addition to develop successful products and services. With immense pleasure, let me introduce today's speaker, Aadithyan Rajesh. Aadithyan, a student. Yeah, welcome, Aadithyan.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be a speaker at Kerala Police Hackathon,
Yeah,
and I'm really excited.
Yeah, welcome. So Aadithyan is a student from Dubai. Was only 9 years old when he developed his first mobile application as a hobby. Adesh, the tech wizard, who started using a computer when he turned 5, has finally launched his own company, Trinet Solutions, at the age of 13. He was later renowned as the UAE's youngest CEO and currently working on the world's first peer-to-peer learning platform, Tangled.ae, as the head of design and experience. Now,
Thank you so
before
much.
I hand over, I would like to let all you know that you can drop your queries in the comment section on our Facebook and YouTube channels. Adityan will respond to your queries at the end of the session. Now, let's all hear from Adityan. The stage is yours, Adityan.
All right. Thank you so much. Give me a second. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Can you? All right. All right. Again, firstly, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for being here, and I'd like to thank everyone who gave me this wonderful opportunity to be here and speak at the Kerala Police Hackathon. So today's topic is gonna be all about design thinking. And if you're wondering if it's something related to design, don't worry, it's not much. It's all about way of a designer thinks, and I'll be taking you through this. So firstly, I'll introduce myself a bit brief more. I'm Artin Rajesh. I'm the CEO and founder at Trainer Solutions. I'm a self-taught designer and developer, and I work with these brands. And currently, I'm building the world's first peer-to-peer learning platform. So simply, let us simplify this. Let's make it much more simpler. What exactly is design thinking? So, in simple terms, a modern human-centered approach to solving problems at speed and scale. So, it's a very simple way of thinking. As I said earlier, it's a way that designer thinks. Let me take you more through this. So, I thought this would be an interactive session, but it's all right. I hope there's a lot of designers in the house today who will be excited to hear my talk. So, what are we going to learn today? So, first, intro to designing. Before we go into design thinking, I think that's quite important. All right, so let's get started. And let me unleash what exactly is design thinking and a simple process to understand your users. So, when you're building a service, the first thing you're going to think is what's the name, what's the brand going to be like, and what are the main features. So, that exactly is design thinking. So, you don't think like what's the provider or the services you want. What you always think is what does the user want, or what you do is you ask the user what kind of service or what help they want. So, in simple terms, design thinking is just getting to know your user and building the features they always wanted. So, let me tell you the process and how do we go through this. So, the step one is empathy. No assumptions. You got to step into their shoes and ask them what exactly do they want and make it crystal clear. The second step is to make it defined. You solve for the problems which you're telling and you give clear functions and clear features. And the third step, it's ideation. It's an alternative way of viewing the problem. You can think of example if the problem is lacking of water, you can think of different ways. How do I solve it? And viewing the problem in different ideas or solutions. And the fourth step, one of the main steps, would be the rapid prototyping. It is always a way forward. You can build it in the code or the design you want. It's all up to you. All right. So in empathy, you gotta do user personas interview. So what happens is basically you go to the users and you ask them step by step, what do you want it to be exactly? And it's like the user experience. How do you want it to be like? And what are the problems they're facing? And then later you find solutions for that. And then defining. One example of defining would be storyboarding UX. So when you get started in an application, let it be Google Drive or Microsoft Teams, they show you storyboarding and where they tell what all are their solutions and what are the problems and the solutions they're coming up with. So that's one way of you can do the defining. And then ideation. So once you get all these problems and once you get a concept of how do I solve this, you can sketch it out and you can decide what are you going to do or the different type of alternative ways you're going to solve the problem with. And last but not least, it's prototyping. You get feedback and you get the strength to move forward. All right. So one of my favorite content structuring model would be the Gary Vee content model. I'm pretty sure you all know about Gary Vee. He's a great entrepreneur and he's a world-class entrepreneur known for his leading social media content strategy. He has a very special content strategy in which one day he can generate up to 69 contents. So let me take you through that. All right. So the first step would be documenting the pillar content. Suppose you wanna make an article or an Instagram carousel of regarding education. You research and you get to know more about the topic and you note it down. So that's the first step. Then second step would be when you're posting it in Instagram or something, you need to make it short and crisp. So what you do is you repurpose them into micro content and you make it much smaller and bite-sized content, which is much easier for anyone to digest. And the third step, which is quite important, would be to distribute it. Once you build something, it's super important to show others what you have built and get feedback. So first step, document pillar content. This is where you create a long form piece of content that can be cut up into bite-sized content. Like I told, you can select any topic of your wish, and then you can make it like a podcast or a webinar or a blog post or blog or keynote or whatever you want. And then you repurpose into micro content. You make it much smaller. You take your pillar content and repurpose it into short form pieces of content like micro blogs, images, codes, stories, and videos. So once you break it down to bite-sized content, we'll now take our pillar content and take the most valuable bits and repurpose them into content for your social media channels. And this is where something called human-centered design comes. So in simple terms, what human-centered design comes is you need to know who you're designing for. If suppose you're a brand like Tomato, If you've seen Zomato's and social media pages, they design something, which is very user centered. And, all of their posts are about food and something related to that. So you need to know who's your customer properly, and you need to know how to design posts properly for them and in a way that entertains them and gives them a bit of content. And as a third step, it is to distribute on your social media, post it everywhere, and you'll be super surprised how much content you can create and how much people are applauding you. And one of the steps would be that, post your micro content on the right platforms. So a carousel post on Instagram might also work on LinkedIn. So don't be afraid to post the same content in multiple locations. If you want that, you can just post that or repost that again in your website or, anywhere else you think that will be suitable. So just don't worry about that. So let's get much more into design and, let's explore what are the topics there. So three main pillars of design are brand, UI, and UX. So, creating a very good brand is half the selling. So if you don't have a proper brand, you won't be able to properly market it or, properly tell to your users, or you won't be able to market it properly, to be honest. And brand identity is super important, and designing a good brand identity is damn important. So let's talk a bit more into UI. So if you see this design, it's super simple. I got this from Airbnb design. So what's special here is the simplicity speak. They don't have much shapes or much colors. They're super simple. They have a few text and a few subtitles. And the way designed it is super simple, and the simplicity speaks. And it's a checkout page by Visa, and here you can see how is the clarity. Each page doesn't have much content. It's really short and it's really sweet too. So they make sure the user understands, even though it's less, they understand what they have to do and rightly. And these are some of the tools which you can use to create UI UX, like Sketch, Photoshop, Illustrator, Figma, Photopie, Jira, Lotte, and InVision. So one of my favorite tools in a software called Figma is that, suppose you're a developer, suppose you're a designer, and you wanna give your code to a developer. So in most situations, what you gotta do is like you gotta hire someone, or you gotta learn how to do that yourself. So in Figma, it's kind of like special, and what you can do is, you if you design something, there's a unique feature that you can convert your design into code seamlessly. And how awesome is that? So let's get into UX a bit more. So some of the great pillars of UX are user research, user testing, personas, and maps. So personas and maps might be a bit confusing word for you. That basically means going to users and splitting each step into micro content. And then it's about creating user stories, just like onboarding UX at tools. And then it's about UI. You make it much accessible for everyone. You create the usability, and you make the desirability more. You make the findability more, and you make the readability more. So that's all about UX. And let's brush up on this topic a bit more: the art of behavior influence or social psychology and design. As design is really deep, and no one cannot design properly. Like if it's me, if I design something today, after 1 month when I'm looking at it, I feel like it's not perfect, and I could have improved something. So if you're someone who's like that, so it's totally fine, because design is never perfect, and design has an art and a social psychology in it. So this is a screenshot from Airbnb's website. So here they're showing that there's a scarcity all these areas. They're like only 5% of the listings are left for these dates, and which simply means the user gets an eager to just go and order it as soon as possible. So that's a way of marketing and a way of design. Both are kind of like mixed up. And then they're showing a social proof that guests love this location, so maybe you should check it out too. So one special thing is design is that you speak words without showing them, and that's called simply design. So I like to give you some cookies or 5 minutes tools for tomorrow. For icons and illustrations, you could use these tools, and for color schemas and gradients, you could these tools. Fonts are these tools, and photos or videos or stocks you want, we can use this tool. We can feel tools, screenshots it. Just to note, these are tools which are, may or may not be usable commercially. So once you want to use this, make sure you do some research before implementing it. Right? Just so that developers and designers don't fight all the day, you can check at IBM's design system, Carbon Design, and Bootstrap design system. And guess what? The government has a design system too. What? Okay, there's also material design, but come on, you don't want to look like Google stock anyways. And there are a lot of design systems out there, but these are some of the most common and famous design systems. You can check it out too, screenshot it. All right, now the last step is to go create, and that's a wrap. Thank you so much. You can feel free to contact me in my mail or my LinkedIn, and that's my Instagram. You can feel free to contact me. Thank you so much. All right,
Yeah, thanks Adityan for the session. So
my
now we are
pleasure.
open for the Q&A.
All right,
Uh, so if the audience having any questions, you can comment on the respective Facebook and YouTube channels. We would be
all right,
addressing your queries.
pleasure. I'll do
Uh,
it.
Adityan, there is one question from Soma Harish Reddy. Question is, how you started your journey? What motivated you?
All right. So basically, it is my age of 10 while, it is my age of 7 while I got a computer for the first time in my life. It was my dad's computer.
All right, I think we have some issue with the connectivity. Yeah, we are really sorry. Aditya is facing some connectivity issue from his end. He's trying to rectify it. Yeah, Adityan, will you able to hear me?
Yeah, I think it's better now.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So we can have our next question. Um, After your plus two, which profession you choose? That's a question from Aaron Babu.
All right. I haven't thought that much. I mean, I'm in a present at the moment, but I'll surely do something regarding entrepreneurship or, I'm still looking for a moonlight idea which I can really work on. So I'm still working on it.
Okay, all right. Then still we are having little lag from your side.
I
Uh,
see.
yeah, little lag from your side, your video. Uh,
All right.
yeah. Uh, so yeah, Aditya. So, what would be your recommendation to the younger people, how they can become a successful entrepreneur in their earlier age itself?
I mean, my aspirations have been always working something and, inventing something new. And I
Mm.
never had this notion of taking things are really tough. So I tell that if you really want to do something, just do it. There's, you don't need to be like, where's the right time, or can I do it right now? And so I hope for that I didn't give up. I never found it stressful because I felt that I was doing and I wanted to do. Even now, the love for doing this is what keeps me going. So just do what you love.
Okay, all right.
Right,
Um, yeah. So yeah, that's from the audience.
right.
Um, Adityan, it was really an amazing session. Absolutely, you have given a very effective insight on the design thinking. And also, you would definitely be a role model for all youngsters who have the immense thirst to be an entrepreneur. So, we are
Thank
so
you so much.
grateful for your expertise and your valuable suggestion. And on behalf of Hac'KP, I extend our sincere thanks to you for being with us today. Thank you so much and wish you all the best for all of your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Audience, thanks to all attendees for your time and your active participation. Uh, and our sincere apologies on the technical issues. So, once again, thank you. Tomorrow, August 8th, we will be having two sessions. First webinar is about how scammers scam you. The session would be taken by Mr. Venkatesh Shivakumar. He's working as a security consultant. The session is scheduled at 5:30 p.m. IST tomorrow, and the next webinar is scheduled at 7 p.m. IST on a topic how digital intelligence is shaping our future by Mr. Ajay Krishnan. He's from the Celebrite Technologies, and we will meet again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe and take care. And thank you.